So the screen you were looking at right now is it's slowly dying. And honestly, it is entirely the color blue's fault.
Yep, it really is.
Today we are doing a deep dive into a financial update report on a tiny Polish startup called Noctiluca S.A, who might have just solved a multi-billion-dollar chemistry problem in the global OLED display market. Okay, let's unpack this.
It's a fascinating report. I mean, you rarely see a European startup this small positioning themselves as a linchpin in a hardware ecosystem that massive Asian tech giants traditionally dominate.
Right, and they certainly aren't just carving out some minor niche here. I mean, their recent year-over-year sales growth hit 66%.
Which is huge.
Yeah. So I want to get straight to the technology driving that because it centers around this infamous blue pixel problem. I know blue OLEDs degrade much faster than red or green ones, but why is blue so, inherently destructive?
Well, it comes down to basic physics. Blue light operates at a higher frequency, which means it requires significantly more energy to generate.
Okay, makes sense.
Right, so pumping that much energy through fragile organic compounds, it essentially just cooks them over time. For years, the industry's default response has been to try and invent a tougher blue emitter.
Basically trying to build a completely indestructible light bulb.
Precisely.
Yeah.
But Noctiluca, they went in a completely different direction.
Wait, really? What do they do?
They stopped looking at the emitter entirely and focused on the surrounding architecture. They developed a proprietary electron injection layer, or NCI.
NCI.
Got it. Yeah, so think of it as the transport system delivering the electrical current into that light bulb.
Oh, I see. So instead of trying to rebuild the engine to handle extreme heat, they formulated like a smoother fuel delivery system.
Yeah.
Basically lowering the electrical friction so the blue emitter doesn't have to work as hard and burn itself out.
That is a perfect analogy, yeah.
Yeah.
By lowering the operating voltage and resistance in those transport layers, the blue emitter experiences significantly less stress. And the data from their recent testing with a Taiwanese PMO-led manufacturer actually proves the concept.
Mm-hmm.
They achieved a 130% increase in device lifespan.
Wait, 130% increase? That is massive. I mean, that completely changes the replacement cycle of a device.
It really does.
And I'm assuming they tested this on PMO-led, passive matrix displays like the simpler ones used in fitness trackers, just because it's a faster, more controlled environment to prove the chemistry actually works before scaling up to, like, complex smartphone screens.
Exactly. It validates the material. But proving it in a controlled lab setting, that brings us to the real hurdle.
Right, which is getting massive, entrenched hardware manufacturers to actually adopt a new material from a 26-person company in Poland. That seems like an administrative nightmare.
Oh, absolutely.
How are they bypassing the standard corporate bureaucracy to get this commercialized?
Well, they're being aggressively pragmatic. Instead of trying to build massive, expensive labs themselves, they've set up a European hub, partnering with over 20 different university research schemes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that scales their intellectual property without swelling their payroll. Then they take that IP and focus entirely on the Chinese and Taiwanese markets where, manufacturing adaptation moves at lightning speed.
I actually noticed a detail in the report that highlights that speed. They are entirely skipping the usual joint development project phase with a major Chinese telecom manufacturer.
Right.
They're bypassing the lab and going straight to mass production line testing in Q2 of 2026. I mean, going straight to the factory floor is a wild level of trust from a major manufacturer.
It really shows how desperate the industry is for this exact solution.
I get that, but I have to push back here for a second. Helix is already a dominant player in this space, and they have the massive financial backing of Samsung and LG.
Sure.
So how does a lean, independent company actually outmaneuver an established leader with virtually unlimited capital?
Because that unlimited capital comes with heavy strings attached.
Yeah.
Helix is brilliant, but being tied to the Samsung and LG ecosystems inherently limits who they can safely partner with. Noctiluca's independence is their weapon. They can sell to anyone. Plus, Culux is highly focused on the emitters themselves. Noctiluca is developing chemistry for multiple different layers of the OLED stack.
So they aren't just selling one specific part. They are offering a flexible menu of structural upgrades to any manufacturer who wants them.
Exactly.
Looking at their financial projections, the market is definitely pricing them as a future commercial powerhouse rather than just a boutique R&D lab. The growth modeled for 2028, when these supply contracts are projected to kick in fully, is just staggering. I mean, we're looking at an estimated fair value of PLN 162.11 per share.
Yeah, it highlights a truth about consumer tech that we often ignore. We get obsessed with processor speeds or battery sizes, but the most disruptive innovations usually happen completely out of sight.
Right.
It's the microscopic layers of chemistry that actually dictate what our devices can achieve.
It really reframes how you look at the hardware in your hand. The ultimate bottleneck for the future of our screens isn't computing power. It's the invisible molecular glue holding the pixels together. Absolutely.
So next time you are staring at your phone, remember that the future of that display might just be riding on a microscopic highway paved by a couple dozen engineers in Poland.